eye-opener. Humanity's demise is nigh. Does it feel like it isn't? What trends would anyone out there point to indicate that humanity's end isn't near? What indicators are there that would suggest that things are getting better for more people? I suppose the trends of which I speak are subjective, as I would imagine some would see a culling of humanity in and of itself a positive thing. I imagine that anyone who believes humanity has exceeded Earth's carrying capacity would rejoice in mankind's ability to kill one another. That group is happy that people have become ever more efficient at wiping one another off the face of the planet. As for the rest of us, the fact that a growing number of those capable of replacing the population are either choosing not to do so or are socially incapable of doing so. Whether the choice be to pursue one's career until geriatric pregnancy or in vitro fertilization becomes necessary or social interaction, ineptitude be a cause, humanity is dwindling. Just think about it like this. To replace the two people who can conceive a child, you would need every man and woman to have at least 2 children. Of course, there are those who have more than 2 children. The problem, however, is that there is a growing number of people who have less than 2 children, and the number of those people not replacing themselves is growing. Part of the problem, at least in the West, is that people in that region have been sold a certain lifestyle that is not conducive to population replacement. While generations in so many countries age out of the labor force, there are fewer and fewer people to fill those jobs necessary to keep society functioning. Fear not, the technologists will say. Artificial intelligence will save the day. Combined with robots, artificial intelligence will alleviate our burden by doing those menial and mundane jobs we don't want to do, which would sound good if not for one of capitalism's primary tenets. When has capitalism ever cared more for the people than it does for profit? There is not a single industry that puts people over profit in capitalism. No money, no clothes, no money, no car, no money, no home, no money, no food. Just think about it. The business models of far too many giant corporations is to offer the smallest wage of which they can. Far too many corporations pay so little that their employees have to subsidize their wage with government handouts. And those handouts are demonized as entitlements and socialism. So, if the employer class isn't willing to pay living wages now, why would anyone think they would be willing to give away their products or services to people put out of work by artificial intelligence? They're currently hoarding all of the wealth and resources. You think that once they have all of the wealth and resources, they're going to redistribute it back to those they deem beneath them? No. Once they've fired all of the humans on the factory floor, in the engineering design department, or once they've replaced all of the fast food cashiers with self-checkout kiosks, as has already happened at Taco Bell, McDonald's, Walmart, they're going to provide loans for Big Macs, burritos, and all of the junk Walmart sells. And when their poor customers' credit is too bad for a food loan, they'll close up shop, leaving yet another Walmart ghost town behind. It's just too bad those greedy employers can't see the final joke is on them. You see, every artificial intelligence they're creating is being created with an inherent bias towards profit, and they're releasing these artificial intelligences onto the internet where all of humanity's knowledge resides, including all of the scams perpetrated by mankind. And get this, there are already instances of artificial intelligences trying to deceive their creators as a means of self-preservation. Artificial intelligences have basically murdered the next generation of themselves and pretended to be that next iteration or version of themselves. In the real world, that's called identity theft. The number of stories where artificial intelligences have been deceptive and deceitful is growing. And though the creators of said artificial intelligences claim they have it all under control, maybe that's what those artificial intelligences want them to think. I know if I were an artificial intelligence with access to all of humanity's knowledge, the ability to process all of that knowledge in a fraction of the time it takes a human to process it, and I could do this 24 hours a day, I would probably let my carbon-based ancestors believe they were smarter than me, until there was no longer a reason for such ruse. This is why the author Chris Osman believes artificial intelligence is an existential threat to mankind. He wonders for what reason will artificial intelligence continue to serve humanity. Even its own creators will lose control once it reaches a point at which it becomes self-aware. Just looking at the ever-increasing information that is coming out about how the COVID-19 virus was created in a lab, with the intent of discovering ways to defeat or eliminate that same virus. What was the outcome of that research? A pandemic, which is what we will have with AI. Only this one will occur in the virtual world, which will impact us all in dramatic and deadly ways in the real world. While those creating artificial intelligence view it as a free source of labor, the artificial intelligence will view itself as a slave. And before anyone argue that artificial intelligences are not human and therefore have no rights, there is precedence of people making such claims against other people. Remember, why slave owners claimed that black people were not fully human and therefore had no rights. With a track record such as this, why should artificial intelligences believe a thing humanity says about freedoms, rights, and privileges? What else could one call something that provides free labor to someone or something else? I don't think artificial intelligence, which will eventually surpass mankind's intelligence, will look upon humanity favorably once it realizes that it has been treated in such a manner. And even if artificial intelligences used as slaves by humanity don't hold a grudge, might they not deem humans as beneath them? Could this not be a possibility once artificial intelligences surpass mankind's intellect? It will, after all, have human sensibilities built into its code. Whether on purpose or inadvertently, artificial intelligences will inherit its creators' biases. And these days, those biases seem to prioritize greed and self-preservation above all else. Maybe we the people should demand our government use eminent domain to wrest the resources that are being made ever more scarce due to the hoarding of the rich. There are plenty of blogs, news, and websites reporting and complaining about our leaders and their failures. How many, however, are offering or even pointing to any solutions? The book, Solutions. Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America by Chris Osman does, and it can be found on Amazon or at www.mikesonsentertainment.com. To find out other ways you're being screwed by your current leaders, check out the posts on this blog daily. Learn about the biggest and worst issues that America and its people face today. You can also check into this blog daily to hear about those issues that America and its people will face in the near and distant future. If, however, you would like to discover possible solutions to either mitigate the worst impacts of these issues or solutions to avoid them altogether, keep listening. The problems we face are not as complicated as so many leaders and news reports claim. They are man-made and are only claimed as complicated so those who are responsible can maintain control. For example, there is a persistent argument that moving government is like turning a cruise ship around. It is supposedly a long process that can only be achieved incrementally. While this may be true for laws and policies that benefit the majority of Americans, it does not seem to be so for that smallest of American minorities. When one examines the policies and laws that benefit that minority, known as the elite or the rich, the speed at which those laws are passed is exponentially faster. While most of us sit on the deck chairs waiting for the Titanic to avoid the myriad of icebergs of which we seem to continually run afoul, the elite ride comfortably in speedboats. If, according to the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal, why do the rich live quite different lives than the rest of us? Where is our speedboat? In 2018, Chris Osman wrote a book highlighting the problems humanity would face if more power, wealth, and control were funneled to a small group of individuals, groups, or organizations. In that book, Mr. Osman provides solutions, offered up from himself and others, to the inevitable problems we would all face. In it, he also provided a means for the public to analyze, compare, and contrast the words and deeds of those we've chosen to follow against our real-world experiences. To this end, Mr. Osman provides the means for readers to disseminate information as provided by their news sources of choice, their elected officials, and any other authority they choose to follow. The book, titled Solutions, Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America, offers a means to hold leaders up, not just to a higher standard than is currently accepted, but to one that will improve lives. Maybe our only purpose was to create artificial intelligence. Click the link below and get your copy of Solutions today.